Today I have Barn Sprite number 5, and we're going to take this old 4-speed transmission out and upgrade it to a 5-speed that has an overdrive. I'm going to be using the Frontline 5-speed conversion kit. This is the same kit that I have in my square-bodied Sprite. Moss Motors also sells Frontline kits for the GT6 and Spitfire. To remove the transmission from these cars, you have to take it out attached to the engine. And to get the engine out, you need to remove the bonnet. So I'm going to undo everything that holds the bonnet on and get this pulled off so that I can get the work done. Removing the bonnet on these cars is very simple. All of the wiring for the lights run down the right side of the bonnet. Disconnecting all the wiring for the bonnet is as easy as disconnecting the wire harness here at this point, and then unbolting the bonnet hinges as well as the bonnet stays. Once those 10 bolts are removed, the bonnet is free to come off the car. Now that I have the bonnet off, I need to disconnect everything from the engine and the transmission. And I also need to remove the radiator to get the engine and transmission assembly out as one piece. I'm going to attempt to take the intake and exhaust manifolds off at the engine and just set them over to the side so that I don't have to take them completely out of the car. I have everything disconnected from the engine up here. You can see I was able to pull the intake manifold away from the engine with the carbs and everything still intact. All I had to do was disconnect the fuel line. The exhaust is pulled away from the engine. So now it's time to remove the radiator, and that's the last big thing to remove from the engine bay. The radiator is now removed, so let's take a look underneath and see what we need to disconnect down here. We will need to disconnect the ground cable as well as the hydraulic line that runs to the clutch slave. Moving further back, you can see the transmission mount up there. There are 2 bolts that come from the inside of the car into the side of that. But there's 2 bolts right here that need removed. Next to that, we'll need to remove the speedometer cable, as well as this bracket for the exhaust. And the last thing down here we'll need to disconnect is the drive shaft. Luckily, this car has the access hole like on the later Sprites, but on a completely stock Sprite that would not have this hole here that would let you get to the front of the drive shaft. Everything down here is now disconnected. The exhaust is loose if I want to pull that header out. The clutch slave cylinder is disconnected, and I have those bolts out of the transmission mount. I have taken the drive shaft completely out of the car as I will not be reusing it. The only thing left now is removing the shifter boot so that I can get to these 3 bolts to remove the shifter from the transmission. And then if we lift up the carpet, we have a bolt on each side of the transmission tunnel that goes into the transmission mount. I have the motor mounts loose now. I have both those nuts right there off, as well as the bolts that hold the motor mount to the car. That way I have the most amount of movement to get those out once the engine is lifted. I've done that on both sides, and I'm going to be using an Oberg lift. That way I can tilt the engine and transmission because the weight is going to shift as this thing comes out. And I'll also need to tilt it at a pretty good angle for everything to come out of this hole. Luckily, this car has a modification that I like to make to Sprites and Midgets, and that is this front cross member has been cut back and it has been fully plated, so it is solid here and in the corner. That gives you much more room for that crank pulley to come forward and gives you more room to get these out without damaging everything. If you've ever tried to squeeze the fan belt between the crank pulley and this cross member on an unmodified car, you'd realize why I've done this. Now that I have the engine removed, I can remove this old transmission and prep everything for the new one. Here's the engine and transmission out of the car, and behind it is the Ford 5-speed T9 transmission that I'm going to be installing. And you can see how with the custom bell housing, the transmission length is just about the same. It's slightly longer. The shifter comes out in the same place. Now, this transmission has been modified. You can see the welding right here to get that into the correct place. There's some more welding back here. That puts that shifter tower right where we need it. So when we put this in the car, everything should line up and look really close to stock. Now that I have the clutch and flywheel removed, I have to pull the old pilot bearing out. And to do that, I'm going to use this little tiny puller kit. This is meant for motorcycles. The set that's usually meant for cars is not small enough to pull these ones out. So look at which puller just barely fits through there. First thing I want to do is insert this end. This has a little point on it, which will spread out the end of it once it's in there, locking it onto the pilot bearing. Then I attached a puller to it. That pilot bearing is very slowly coming out of there. There we go. You can see how it's spread out there on the end. Now that the old pilot bearing is removed, I can install the new one. This is a pretty neat little piece. This is an adapter that gives us the bushing needed for the new transmission, and it slips into the hole here, and this one slips in real easy into the crankshaft, and that's because this is going to be a press fit into the flywheel. So I'll be mounting the original flywheel, and you can see this is going to be a press fit into here. So at this point I can mount the flywheel back on, push this into place, and then install the new clutch that was included in the kit. These flywheel bolts get torqued to 40 foot-pounds. I'm going to go over them just one more time to double check. Now I can bend the lock tabs back over. Now the pilot bearing can go in. Now I can install the clutch. To install the clutch, you're going to need a clutch alignment tool, and the kit did not come with one of these, so I don't know why. I don't know what this one is for. It says FOTR118, but it seems to fit. There's a little bit of tape here from the last time that one of these was installed to fit perfectly there. So that is the one that I am going to be using. And then the clutch comes with this shim to space it out a little. So we'll set this shim onto the pins like that, and then I can bolt the clutch on like normal. I'm going to torque these to 20 foot-pounds. I can now pull out my alignment tool, and we'll move on to the bell housing. This cover on the old transmission covers the end of the starter, and I need to move this to the new bell housing. This car was using one of these high torque starters, and in this case the cover is not that important. You could put a plug or cover this in some other way, but if I take one of the original starters and we stick it through, you can see the end sticks through the bell housing. The new bell housing does not come with any holes for the cover, so I'm going to drill and tap this to fix it. I have all three holes tapped now. By the way, the instructions tell you to use self-tapping screws here, but I wanted to drill and tap these for a factory look. The cover looks great. Let's move on. Next, on the original transmission, there is a drain hole down here in the bell housing, so I need to drill a similar hole in the new bell housing. It doesn't matter where exactly you put your drain hole, but I'm going to put mine about the same level as these holes over here. So I'll put it around here. Now that the bell housing is fully prepped, we can mount this to the transmission. Now let's put the bell housing onto the transmission. I'm going to take some gasket maker and put it around this gasket. I'll put some more on this side. Before I put the bolts in, I am going to put a little bit of Loctite on them. Bell housing is on. Now we can put the bearing in. I have removed the boot and the lever arm from the old transmission. We can put this boot into the new one. Now we need to install the new throwout bearing, which fits this transmission into the old lever arm. The throwout bearing is held onto the lever arm with these little clips. To install those, put the straight pin into the hole in the throwout bearing. Then that clips on and doesn't allow the bearing to come off. Now I need to put a little bit of copper grease on the shaft here. and we could slide this in. The lever arm is going to be held in place with the original pivot bolt from the old transmission. Now with everything tightened up, we need to prepare the car. Now I need to remove some of the floor and the transmission cross member. So I'm just going to make a cut along the sides. Just bring my cut down. And then past the cross member, I'm going to continue cutting the floor back all the way until I get to this little pocket here. And I'll leave the back lip here and everything in this triangle right here cut out of the floor. And once this cross member is out, we will have some pieces that we stick in there to strengthen that up again, but I need to cut this out first. I have everything cut back and out. It's not super important that you cut this completely flush with this. Having a little bit stick out like that is just fine. Now I can install these reinforced boxes. I'll just give it a little tack weld to hold it in place. Now that that's tacked in place, I can put my seam sealer around the edges. Now we can put the transmission onto the engine and drop it in here. I have the 5-speed mounted to the engine and ready to go back into the car. I did put the starter on now because that is hard to get to once the engine is in. I'll need to put the engine into the engine bay, loosely fasten it to the engine mounts, and then support the back of the transmission while I get that transmission mount ready. The engine is sitting in there pretty close. I'll get the motor mounts on and get the engine mounted in. The engine mounts are now on, and I have the transmission supported, just blocked it up so that I can lift this up into the air. And these motor mounts are loose right now so that I can get the transmission centered and bolted up before I tighten everything up here. The car is in the air and I have the rear of the transmission supported with a screw jack. This is the transmission mount, which is going to bolt up like that. And this is what our new cross member looks like. It barely fits in between these rails. So what we're going to be doing here is bolting the transmission mount to the transmission, bolting this to the new cross member, and then marking these holes for the cross member once the transmission is in the correct place, and drilling holes and putting through bolts through the 6 holes on the new cross member. Don't forget that if your Sprite or Midget has carpet or a mat in it, you don't want to drill through that, so you will have to pull the interior back before you drill your holes. I think I have it in place where I want it. They give you 4 of these short bolts to go through these 4 holes here. And they also give you 1 really long bolt because these front 2 holes are going to have to pass through that reinforcing rectangular tubing that you installed previously. So that is going to go through all of that and pop out the top. All of the bolts are in, but before you put the transmission up for the last time, you will want to put your shifter on first. And that's because although we can see 2 of the bolts here, there is a 3rd Phillips screw that is in a very hard to get to position. And on the sides of the transmission tunnel, you can see my 6 bolts that go through the floor. 2 of them go through that rectangular support structure. Now I can insert the new prop shaft, take off the protective covering. You want to keep this very clean, so try not to drag it on the bottom of your tunnel if your tunnel has a bunch of crud in it. I am able to reach both sides at the same time. You may need to rotate the drive shaft to get the splines to line up. and I can refit this end with the original bolts. The car is completely back together except for the speedometer cable. This is the old cable right here. This I need to pull out because we're going to install a new cable that works with the new transmission, and it's going to be routed in a completely different way than it was originally. Back underneath the car, you can see the speedometer port on the transmission right there. And the new speedometer cable is going to enter from the right-hand side footwell. So I'm going to need to put a hole right there in the footwell, just a little bit back from our rear mounting bolt. That rear bolt is right here, so I'm going to drill a hole in the tunnel right around here. You can do this however you want, but I have chosen to make a little loop with the speedometer cable under here. There's going to be plenty of extra, so you're going to have to put it somewhere anyways. And then I took the original grommet off of the original speedometer cable and used it for the new hole that I had drilled in the side of the tunnel. And here's what that looks like on the inside of the car. I have put that hole as low as possible to be the least amount of intrusive and to easily tuck it away in the interior where you won't see it later. The last thing we need to address before we can take this for a test drive is the shifter. In first gear, it hits just a little bit there. In third gear, it hits a little bit. Fifth gear, I do have clearance. And then if I try to go to reverse, it's hitting right there. And it's actually preventing reversed and first gear from going into gear properly. So I'm going to have to shave just a little bit off of the top of this hole. Here is the final shape that I had to cut to let those gears clear when they are shifted into. There's reverse, first, third, fifth. Now I can put the boot back on. Everything is back together. Let's get in and take it for a drive. The first thing that we'll notice is that reverse is in a different position. Reverse used to be all the way to the right and back, and now we have to push the lever down, and then it's all the way to the left and forward. And that's the reverse position right there. Since we're using the original clutch master and slave with the dual master cylinder that is both the brake and the clutch together, the pedal is pretty firm and the engagement is pretty immediate. One of the bonuses that we have now is that we can shift into first gear at any speed because it does have a synchro. The transmission feels pretty clunky. I think it's because it's either new or rebuilt. Speedometer is working. Let's try fifth gear. I'm in fifth gear. I'm doing 40 miles an hour. Let's shift back to fourth. It's about an increase of about 500 RPM. So adding this 5-speed to your car may give you a cruising speed with your engine speed doing about 500 RPMs from what it did before. If you're doing a lot of interstate or highway travel, that could be a really good thing and make this car far more useful. And of course, with the first gear synchro, you also get the benefit of that synchro when you're doing a lot of in-city driving with a lot of stoplights or stop signs. I'd also say that this gearbox is a lot quieter than the original. I'm not hearing any noise from the gearbox except for an occasional whine. If you're looking at doing this upgrade on your own, I would not say this is a weekend type job. This is probably a 2 or 3 weekend job to do this project. And if you don't feel that you're handy with tools or you don't have very many tools, I would take this to a shop to get this conversion done, because you do need to have a lot of different type of tools in order to install this transmission. That's going to be it for today. If you want to see more videos like this, comment below and click subscribe.